Hi, everybody. I am just going to wait a second so that everyone can get logged in. If you didn't get a chance to see the last video, I just made one about 15 minutes ago about priming this canvas. Don't worry if you guys didn't have a chance to prime your canvas or get it ready. This one here, I didn't put any primer on it at all, so I just kind of went right for it. The reason why I wanted to show you guys that quick video was just because when I did go to paint this one, I noticed it absorbed a lot of paint, so sometimes it's nice to have a good primer behind it just to conserve your paint. Otherwise, totally fine if you guys just want to go right for it. It just might take a little bit more paint. If you didn't miss that last video, we just made a gesso, or a gesso, I'm not really sure what they call it. I've heard so many different people say that word differently. And to make that, we just did a quarter cup of some baby powder, or you could use plaster of Paris, or you can use a cornstarch. We did a couple tablespoons of white glue as the binder. Now the powder's the base, the glue's the binder, and the paint is your pigment. So then you're going to also add a couple tablespoons of paint. You can use whatever color you want. You don't have to make a white gesso, but it tends to be the most common one. A lot of people also maybe add black to their primer to give it a nice kind of background. Excuse me. But it's really up to you. So if you didn't prime it, again, don't worry about it. You can just kind of go right in and go for it. All right, so for our colors that we're using today, I just used all the primaries. I didn't want to get too fancy with the colors just in case you guys don't have a really in-depth paint set. So we're going to use the primary colors again today, and I'll show you guys how to make the different colors that we see here. The only big difference here is the blue that I used. The blue pigment that I chose this time was not as dark. I usually use an ultramarine. This is a Caribbean blue. So that might change the colors a little bit, but not too much. If you guys want to know the exact color I use, it's Apple Barrel Caribbean Blue. All right. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. You guys should have a set of brushes. I'm going to be using 3 brushes for today's paint. I've got a large, this is about, I don't know, I think it's almost about an inch. And then I have a medium, that's about 1/8 of an inch. And this one is a 0, but you can use a 1 or a 0. Either one will work just fine. All right, and please ask away. You guys, this is a live class, so if you have any questions or if you guys want to post your progress as we're going, awesome. I love to see your guys' work. So, you know, please don't be shy. Post away. Before we get started, the first thing that we're going to do here, we're going to get our big brush. All right, and we're just going to get this whole background painted up. Okay, so I'm going to start with the outer edges. Now, if you are painting on the back of the canvas and you guys missed the video on how to make the back look like wood, there is a video that's posted a couple days ago, and that will teach you kind of how to make this look like a frame so that you can reuse your canvases. Just to kind of, in case you guys missed that video, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So this is actually a totally different painting, and we flipped it around, and we went ahead and painted the outer edges to make it look like a frame, because I know in times like these, it's kind of hard to get out and get art materials. So this way you guys can, you know, reuse your canvases. The one that we're painting on now is actually our last paint process painting. I'll show you guys. So this is actually our galaxy painting. It's just flipped around. Put a wood grain texture on the outside. Then we painted, it's going to actually look like a framed canvas, which is really, really cool. It gives you kind of a versatility. The original painting of this actually says happy birthday on it. And that's kind of you guys can choose whatever you want to say down here. This one says life is sweet, but if you want to do it like a holiday painting, that's kind of cool too, because then you can have your painting that you always have on the wall, and then for that special occasion, you can flip it around and you have a framed kind of holiday painting. So it doesn't look like amazing, right? When you get real close up, you can still see the staples and things, but it does look cool from a distance, so it works. All right, so we're gonna get that big brush. You want a cup of water. Now, acrylic paint has a water base, which is really, really great because you can add water to this paint to give it a little bit more longevity and life. I always recommend painting with a wet paintbrush. The paint tends to be really thick, and if you add some water to it, you can get nice long streaks as opposed to having to keep reloading. So it just makes your life a lot easier. And it also makes the paint streaks look a lot smoother. So you won't have like thick globs, or you won't have like bits where you can actually see the canvas through it. The water helps that paint to soak into the canvas. So I'm gonna get that big brush. I'm gonna pick up some water. Now it's really important when you're adding a bit of water to that paint that's on the brush, you wanna stir it up before you go to the canvas. And the reason why is if you dip it in water and dip it into the paint, the end bristles are going to pick up the paint and the water is going to sit in the base of the brush. So when you go to press to paint, it's just going to start dripping down the canvas. So you want to avoid that. So make sure you do a good stir before you get started. All right. And when I'm painting this, I'm going to want to kind of press on the outer edges here. Oops, I had a little too much water there. I'm going to press so that I can get kind of right behind that frame there. All right, so do you see how I'm pressing and it's allowing me to get behind that frame? But don't worry if you get any paint on that frame. We can always go back through and just add a bit of tan there and kind of cover up any of those splotches. All right, so I'm going to first focus on just getting that outer edge here because you want to concentrate a little bit just so that you can make sure that you get inside or behind this frame here. Now, if you're not painting on the back of the canvas and you're just painting on a regular canvas, no biggie, just go ahead and just start painting the outer edges of that canvas. I'm getting a little bit on my frame, not a big deal. Again, we can either just get a paper towel and just wipe it right up as long as your frame is dry. Acrylic is actually pretty erasable in the first 3 minutes or so of its life. So you can get a wet paper towel. If you get any on that frame, you just wipe it right up. Right, remember, I'm just kind of pressing down so it causes that canvas to allow me to get that brush behind that frame. So that way it looks like it's framed. You don't want to avoid those edges. They look a little weird. All right, so I got all that color in there. I'm just going to kind of start bringing that color closer to the center. It can be a little bit quicker now that I've got that outer frame taken care of. I got a little bit of blue right here. I'm just going to take my finger, flip it up, and then it's good to go. Good as new. Okay. Now, as you're painting this outer edge here, you're going to want to start bringing it to the center, but leave about a whole spread out hand's width in the center. Because we're going to start blending some yellow into this blue, and that's how we got this kind of turquoise green color that you see here. A little bit more blue from the canvas there. All right. Thank you guys all for joining us. Sorry we weren't able to do this on Friday like planned. It's kind of a crazy time right now. I'm a high school teacher, so we had an emergency, actually had an emergency meeting yesterday, and on Friday we had to start getting together all of our online resources. So I got a little surprised. All right. So keep just kind of bringing that blue towards the center. Remember, when to leave about a hand's width spread out in the center. You can see, I got a really big hand, so maybe a little bit bigger than your hand's width. My hand's like this size, a little given, so. All right. Now this next step, we want to work a little bit quickly because we're going to actually blend this green color that you see over there directly onto the canvas. So I'm going to not paint, I'm not going to pre-mix that green. I'm actually going to just take some yellow. I'm going to bring this in just a little more before I do that though. No worry, it doesn't have to be any special shape here. We're just kind of leaving a little bit of an opening. All right, I'm gonna pick up some yellow paint. Now I didn't even rinse my brush. Do you see how I have yellow on there and you can still see the blue underneath? So I'm gonna start in the center, and then as I kind of paint, you'll see that those colors are gonna blend. Right, so it doesn't actually look very yellow, it's kind of like a green, right? I have a dirty brush. All right, and then as I bring this out to the edges, I'm gonna wanna kind of apply a bit of pressure, and you can kind of do like a cross-hatching pattern. So I'm kind of going up and across, so that it kind of does a cool, interesting blend here. All right, kind of messy looking, which is the look that we're going for here. It's kind of this messy, kind of funky background here. I'm just gonna keep on adding some yellow. You can see there's no real method to the madness here, just getting that yellow on there. Now my canvas is kind of dry, so I'm actually gonna pick up some water, and I'm just gonna kind of go over where those areas are blending. And you see how nicely the water just spreads out that paint right on the canvas. So right now, again, I'm just painting with just water, and I'm just moving those colors around with the water so that they have a nice blend. That'll give a little bit more life back to my blue. My blue is starting to dry out just a bit. Again, adding a little bit more water here. And just kind of spreading out that yellow into the blue. Now again, you want to kind of use like a cross-hatching pattern to kind of make it look a little bit kind of fun and messy. Just kind of on those outer edges here. All right. And this nice little kind of turquoise happening, fades from a light blue into a turquoise. And don't worry too much about these edges. You don't want them to be like really crisp. You want to be able to have some spread out edges, so that way it blends really, really nicely. All right, oops, I got a little bit of a bristle there. I'm just going to blend that out. All righty. Now we're going to want this to sit to dry for just a minute before we do the next step. So please let me know if you guys have any questions or if you're having any issues logging in. I know there was connectivity issues on our last video, so we can't see it on our end, so just make sure you guys let us know. I see a lot of logging in, logging out, logging in, so I want to make sure everybody's good out there. All right, so I've got this fun, kind of messy turquoise background here. You're going to want to let that sit for a minute and dry because we don't want that next color that we do to pick up that paint. If you have a hair dryer or anything like that, you can use that. You can use your plate to fan it, or maybe you have an actual fancy fan, you can do that. It's up to you, but we'll go ahead and let this dry. I'm going to use a hair dryer. Sorry, this looks bad. Get this nice and kind of set. All right, I'm just going to let that set for just a second. I don't want to hurt your guys' ears there, sorry. Probably a little louder than I expected. So go ahead and let that paint color go in. Any questions that you guys have, this is the time to ask because we're going to have a little bit of downtime while we let this dry. I'll put some music on and you guys can go ahead and just fan those canvases, get that nice and dry so that we're ready for the next step. All right, so again, we're just letting this background set and dry a little bit. If you guys missed that step, we just did blue on the outer edges. All right, we used this Caribbean blue. All right, and then we just started blending some yellow from the center outwards, and then just kind of have this rough edge. So you don't want it to be like a circle, you just kind of want this rough kind of edge using those cross-hatching patterns, and you're blending that color directly onto the canvas so that you get this nice turquoise coming through. I'm going to fan on it and get this nice and dry. Mine's a bit extra thick because I just put that primer around it, so it's a little bit wet from that still too. Okay, looking like it's setting nicely. You can always tell if it has a bit of a shine, if it's wet still or not. All right, so I'm just using a plate tip in. You can use whatever you want. Plate. You can use a hairdryer, great. That makes it really, really fast. I don't want to blow your guys' eardrum out. It kind of sounded pretty loud when I turned it on there. No fashion way here. A bit extra long today with that primer. But I think I kind of blasted through this background, so I'm hoping you guys are just kind of catching up, getting those backgrounds ready, sanding them, getting ready for the next step here. We're going to trace out this cupcake next. So we're going to actually draw the whole cupcake out in white paint, and then we're just going to like color it in like a coloring book. And if you guys noticed too, I don't actually have any pink on my palette, but most of this cupcake is pink, right? So we're going to make pink. To make pink, you're going to mix a red and white, and then you can kind of choose the tone that you want. And the reason why we're actually making our pink today is because if you can see here, there's a bunch of different tones. You got like the shading down here. We've got a lighter pink here. We're going to kind of blend that pink onto the cupcake, and that way we can get these highs and lows. So we've got a lot of different texture coming through. So it looks a little bit more 3D. All right, hoping it's about dry now. Let's see here. It's still pretty wet, so I'm going to let that sit a little longer. Go pink. Usually dries a bit faster than this, but again, I just primed it, so I put that mix that we made. So it kind of thickened up the paint a bit. It's looking like it's setting nicely. All right, so it's okay if it's a little bit wet still for the next step because again, we're not going to see it. We're going to first just trace out this cupcake with some white paint, and then once we actually fill it in, I'm sure that our canvas will be nice and dry by then. All right, so let's go ahead and start tracing out this cupcake. We're going to use hands widths to measure, so if you guys are using the same size that I have, it comes in handy. But again, if you guys don't, you can kind of figure out, maybe we can break it up into quarters instead of hands width. I think that might be easier for today. If you do have one, you can see that it's about 4 fingers width on both sides, how far that this cupcake reaches out. But if we were to break this up, we can see if like we put a line right down the center here, we can see that this falls a quarter of the way in. So if you have a smaller canvas, you just want to kind of measure a quarter of the way in on both sides. And this falls about right in the very center. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get that small brush. All right, we're gonna get that small brush. We're gonna pick up a little bit of white paint. And again, I always kind of get the paintbrush a little bit wet before I paint, especially when there's illustration involved, because you want to be able to have those long lines. You don't want to have to keep reapplying that paint. So add a little bit of water to your white paint. You get kind of like almost like an inky consistency. All right, and then we're just going to do kind of a connect the dots thing here. So again, about 4 fingers width in, or about a quarter of the way in for a canvas if you're not using the same size. All right, I'm just going to kind of measure that out and do 2 dots. All right, and this will kind of help to guide me as I'm going to paint this, so it's not too big. And also it'll allow me to kind of see where this is going to sit, because we want the frosting on the top, but we also want to have some space down here for the letters. All right, so now that I have these 2 dots, I'm just going to make a flat oval. All right, so I'm just going to kind of take this and I'm just going to connect those dots, like a almost a smile. All right, and bring this around. Connect this dot here. All right, so I've got this nice little oval shape now. All right. And then from there, we can kind of start building off of that. So we want to try to measure out kind of where this, how low this goes. And it's about a little bit more. You can see these edges when I put my hand here. It's about a whole hand's width down. Again, if you guys are not using the same canvas size as me, you can kind of break that up by measurements. So if we look here, if we were to put a line through here in the middle, it's about a quarter of the way up. All right, so that's kind of a good measurement. Now the base here is a little lower than a quarter of the way up, I'd say, but these 2 points here. So do you see how there's kind of like a flat smiley face kind of line, kind of what we have here? You want to sort of mimic this, this round here. All right, so again, we've got a hand's width down. We're about a quarter of the way up. I'm going to make a dot. Now I want to make it inwards, so it's going to be about a little bit of a tilt. So if this is 4 fingers width, we can see it doesn't look like a big curve, but when I put my 4 fingers here and my 4 fingers here, you can see it's quite a bit of a difference. So you might want to add your thumb in there or just bring it in a bit, right? So, and this is actually even a little bit further out than I would like. I'm just going to kind of pull that line up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and measure. Again, about a quarter of the way up, or quarter of the way up and a little more than a quarter over, right? Because we want to get this diagonal going. We're going to do 2 dots, all right? And from those 2 dots, we're just going to make kind of like a flat sort of smile. So it's going to have a little curve, but not a huge curve. I don't know what I meant by that. All right, that's going to give us that 3-dimensional look. So if you have kind of a curved bottom, it'll look like a round 3-dimensional base to this cupcake. All right, and then from these outer edges here, we're just going to go not directly at the tip, but just a little bit over, kind of where the curve starts. We're just going to connect these 2. All right, so from that to that. If you don't have paint, you can always just kind of use this as, there's a lot of illustration in this, so you could even just use this tutorial as a drawing tutorial too. You want to kind of try to figure out how to draw out a cupcake. All right, so now I've got a nice base. Okay, give it a second to get caught up there. I'd say this part is probably the hardest part. So once we get that shape of that cupcake, there's no stopping us. So I'm just getting a little bit more water, stirring it into my white paint so it's a little bit more loose as I do this next step. So what we're going to do next now is we're just going to trace out the shape of this cupcake. Okay, we're not going to do the lines or the folds with the white. We'll just do that later when we're actually filling in those colors. But for this cupcake shape, we're going to start kind of mimicking again this like line here that's kind of flat, this curved line. I mean, it's it's curved, but it's a flat curve is what I meant. All right, so we're gonna kind of mimic that shape, but we're gonna bring it up about halfway. We're gonna make another little curve. It's a little bit smaller, not like that. All right, and that's gonna be the base of our frosting here. Okay, and then from there, we're gonna make our folds. So on this side, and it's gonna seem a little bit weird when we're doing this, but we kind of want that cupcake to look a little realistic, like maybe it's like kind of melting or it's been sitting there for a minute. So we're gonna have an uneven curve on both sides to kind of get that so that, you know, we can do the point off to the side, makes it look a little more realistic and fun. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 little curves on this side, but when we do this side, we're gonna actually only do 1, 2, and 3, one big one, and we're gonna actually fill that in with a fold later. That'll kind of look like it's, you know, the candles maybe causing that frosting to kind of go down a little bit there. So we're going to go ahead and just do 1 curve, 2 curves, 3 curves, and I'm bringing this line in, so it's kind of getting closer to the center. All right, and then for our 4th curve, now this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. We're going to want to have a little point on the top there. All right, so I'm just going to kind of bring this out. Got this big curve. Bring this out, and I'm going to put a little point there. All right. I'm going to bring that curve down about midway. So do you see how this kind of point goes up here? And then it brings it almost like at the middle of here. All right. And then do another big curve here. Okay, and then this last one, we want it to reach all the way out so it meets here. And we'll do that extra curve in between those in a little bit, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Now, if you're looking at your frosting and you don't really like the shape of it, you want to make it wider or anything like that, these lines we're not going to see later. So you can kind of use this step to get it to where you like it before we actually fill it in. All right, and I'm just going to clean out that brush now. So the first part of this that we're going to color is going to actually be the cake part of our cupcake. All right, so we're going to need to get a tan. If you don't have tan, don't worry. I don't have tan either with me, like over there, but not on my palette. We're going to make it together. So we're going to use our medium brush. All right, and this tan here is a very yellow tan. All right, and it's a very light yellow tan. So we're going to want to pick up a little bit of yellow. All right, a bit of white, about half and half. All right, and I'm just going to make the smallest touch of red. So remember, this red is very intense, so this is a very small touch of red. And we've got kind of like this orangey tinge. And if you like that tan how it is, you can leave it. If you want to add a little bit of blue to make it a little browner, you can. Just the smallest bit. Kind of like this orangey kind of cake color better. All right, and then I'm just going to fill this in. So I'm just going to fill my cupcake in, and I'm going to go right over the top of my white lines. So you don't want to see those white lines on these outer edges once you fill that in. All right, and then I'm also going to bring a little bit of this down into here. Don't worry about doing too much down there. We're just going to kind of add a little bit of tan here so that when we do our the paper holding, the thing that holds the cake there, it's going to have like little divots. You want to be able to see that cake color through those divots. All right. Now we're going to add some final highlights at the end. So we'll add a little bit of white to add some highlights in here and there to kind of give it that oomph. So it's going to look very flat until the final couple steps. So don't worry. Stay with me. It'll come out really cool in the end. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and work on that frosting. And again, remember, if you guys have any questions or if I'm going too fast or you need me to go faster, just send me a comment. You know, I'm here for you guys. All right, so for our cupcake, we want the lower parts of these folds to look darker, so that way they look very three-dimensional. So I'm actually going to pick up some pure red. It's going to sound strange, but it'll all come together. And with the pure red, I'm going to go right over the white here, and I'm only going to do it in the lower area. All right, so I'm just going to paint down here. All right, and then I'm going to paint where I want all my folds to be. So remember, this fold is actually going to go and it's going to stop midway of this fold. All right, so that's kind of the confusing part. And then from this point, we're going to have that one meet to here. All right, and then this one, we're going to round it out here. All right, I'm going to just thicken that up a bit. I'm going to bring it all the way out to the outer edges, and if it picks up some of that white as you're going over the white, that's actually a good thing. All right, so now for the fun part. We're going to go ahead and turn this red into a pink. We're going to do that by blending directly onto the canvas here. So I'm going to pick up some white paint, and I didn't rinse my brush. I still have a little bit of red still on there. And I'm going to go right over where these, right at the edge of that red there. Start blending it in. You want a lot of that kind of red to get covered up. I'm going to create this pink. And then I picked up a little bit more white, and less red is on my brush as I move up here. All right. And you can see I have some dimension here going on. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with all the folds. So I'm just picking up that white and taking that red that's already on the canvas, and I'm using that red to create my pink. So I'm blending that right into that red line. Get a nice frosting. Remember, you want to cover up those white lines that you originally made, because those were just guiding lines for you, so you kind of knew where you wanted to go with everything. All right, and you don't want to blend it all the way. You kind of want a loose blend. That'll help it look more like frosting, like the light's hitting it in different areas. It'll give it a nice texture. All right, so I'm just going to pick up some more of this here. Now, if your red starts to dry out, you can always pick up a little bit more red. My red's kind of drying out a bit now, so I'm actually going to pick up just a little bit of red, bring that line back through, and I can use my pink, my white to blend it out. Acrylic paints, they're a little unpredictable in terms of how quickly they dry. A lot of it has to do with the temperature in the air. Sometimes if it's really, really cold, the acrylics will take forever to dry, which is great if you're doing like a blending thing like this. But if you're impatient, you just want to move to the next step like me always. It's better to work in a warmer room or somewhere with light and sunlight. That'll help those colors to dry a lot faster. All right. I'm going to do my last little frosting bit on the top here. And again, I lost a lot of my red dried out, so I'm going to bring some red back into here. Not rinsing the brush, just picking up some red, kind of getting off the excess because I don't want it to be too thick. I'm just bringing that back into the pink a bit so I don't lose all my red. All right, I'm just filling that whole thing in here. Now, as you get to the tip here, you're going to want to probably switch brushes. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white and red. Just go right over this line here so that I have a nice clean tip. Don't worry if it's not perfect, because later we're going to do a black line. We're going to black line this whole thing. I'm going to redefine those lines. Now, if you've completely lost your red, you can always kind of go back through. You can add a little bit of red back in there. If it's still wet, blend it into the pink. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a little bit of red on these lower areas so that the pink kind of took over, but just a little bit. And only do this if it's still wet. Otherwise, that red's really going to stand out. It's going to be hard to blend that in. Just want to give it a little more dimension. But again, I'm just kind of going over the lower area and touching it up with some red, bringing that red back through a bit. Just on the bottom of those folds. Okay. All right, so we've got some cool looking frosting here. Once we add the white highlights, once it sets a little bit, it's going to really give it that oomph, make it look delicious and shiny and realistic. But again, remember, it's going to look pretty flat until those final couple of steps. Once we black line it, add some highlights to it, it's really, really going to pop. So what we're going to do next is we're going to focus in on here. We're going to do this paper, okay, and that's just very kind of sporadic. We're going to use our medium brush, but when we're using our medium brush, if you have a flat edge, you're going to want to hold it like tall so that it's vertical, not horizontal. So it's like that, not this. That. Cool? And that'll help us to get those lines. Now, if you have a brush that is not flat edge, you can use your small brush for this, just to ensure that you can get some visible lines there. So for the base here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of I'm going to go back and forth between white and blue. So I'm going to pick up some white first, and I'm just going to start filling this in kind of really rough, like this. And don't worry if it picks up a little bit of that tan. I'm going to have a lot of colors in there. And I'm just kind of randomly doing some lines. Now I'm not making a straight edge here, all right? What ends up here is going to kind of define how these folds are going to go up here. All right, so again, I'm just picking up some white. I'm going from the base of this cupcake. I'm just doing some lines straight up, kind of a really messy manner. All right. So I'm going to fill in the bottom a little bit thicker you can. Don't worry too, if your background is a little bit wet for this step and it's kind of picking up some of that blue, that's actually a good thing. It'll give it a little bit more depth. All right, so I've got my white. Now I'm going to have some shadows in there, so I'm going to pick up the blue that we used earlier for the background, and I'm just going to kind of put some lines in there with the blue. Remember, you can be real sporadic with this, kind of going up and down, blending that in slightly to the white. Okay, kind of filling in that base a bit. A little bit more blue, kind of in the base here. I'm just kind of doing some lines. All right. Remember, it's going to look very flat until we actually black line things and add some highlights at the end. Right now, we're just kind of trying to get what the base color is going to be on all of this before we trace it all out. All right, so I've got some different textures coming through. I've got some white and some blue. We'll add the black in there in a little bit, kind of blend it in, and we'll give it a little bit more of a shadow. All right. And if you guys have any questions, again, please ask. If I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down. Then I can give you guys a minute to catch up there. We do want this to dry, but by now, I'm thinking that our cupcake here, the middle part should be dry. So we can go ahead and add our highlight to that to kind of give it that three-dimensional feel. I'm going to pick up my medium brush, but this time I'm going to hold my brush do a line, kind of following the curve. It could be a little bit of a broken line, just to give this thing a highlight right there. All right, so that it looks a little more three-dimensional. And kind of round off those edges of my line. All right, it doesn't go all the way to the edge. So there's a little bit of a space right here. So it kind of just goes right along the front there. All right, and I'm gonna make my cherry on the top. All right, so the cherry looks a little scary, but there's a really good approach for this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by picking up a bit of white. All right, and you can kind of decide where you want that cherry to be. We've got it on this second fold up here. Kind of the base of that is kind of falling right here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just figure out where I want that cherry to be. And then the very center of the cherry is going to be where I'm going to start. And the reason why, the hardest shape in the entire world is a circle. Because it has no points, right? So there's no guides. It's all about, you know, having no point, which is crazy. You can kind of actually tell if someone's a great artist by asking them to draw a smiley face and seeing how circular that face is, right? So because of that, we're going to start in the center and we're going to spiral outwards from the center. And that'll help to make sure that we get a nice round circle. And if you don't get a round circle, you can kind of move outwards. But if you were to trace the circle first, it's much more difficult to erase what you've done and fill that in. It's better to start from the center and build it out. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to kind of choose where that cherry is going to be. I'm going to put mine about right here. All right, and I'm just going to start spiraling outwards. Oops, spiraling outwards. All right, and as you're spiraling outwards, if you run out of paint, you can pick up some red paint. All right, and I'm going to kind of start on the outskirts of this circle here. All right, and then I'm just going to start filling it in. So making that circle a little bit bigger, almost like tracing the outside of your circle now. So now that you've got your nice circle, and then you can just kind of start bringing this red in towards that white and blending that right onto the canvas. All right, so you've got kind of like this nice sphere look. All right. And if you lost all your white, you can always just pick up a little bit more. I'm going to pick up some white. And I'm going to just dot it right and kind of off center. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to put a dot right here, a little bit off center. And I'm just going to leave it there. So that way my cherry has a nice little highlight there. If you want it to be a little bit darker, I picked up a lot of white. So I have a very pink cherry. So again, I'm just going to outline this again once it's set for a second with some pure red. I really want it to look, I want it to stand out against this cupcake. I'm going to have to do a couple layers of red to really make that happen. Okay. So I'm going to, since I added the more red, I'm going to have to blend that in so it's smooth. So I'm just using no paint, and I'm just moving the paint around that's already on the canvas. So again, I have nothing on my paintbrush. I'm just kind of bringing that red into the center. All right, so that kind of gives it a little bit more of a pop. Yes, I would definitely save this video so you guys can watch it later. I'll leave it up on my page. I'll leave all these videos up. So I know it's kind of difficult to, you know, plan things, get things, you know, exactly when, you know, noon every day. So if you guys want to see these videos, I actually have quite a few online that we've already done. So we've done the sunflowers, we've done the galaxy, done a couple of tutorials, and this one here. I have another version of this cupcake that I was looking for. I wanted to show you guys how it can look without the frame. So while we let that set for a minute. Well, if I don't find it, I'll go ahead and post it later so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. It's right in front of me, my goodness. So this one here, I don't have a frame, but I used like some pink along the outer edges. And I even like dripped some paint on the top so that it kind of gave it its own kind of frame. So if you guys wanted to do something like that, then this is kind of what it looks like. And then down here, rather than life is sweeter, I just wrote happy birthday. All right, so by now that's probably nice and set. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our candle. I'm gonna grab the small brush. All right, and I'm gonna pick up that blue paint that we used for the background. All right, and I'm just gonna do a straight line. Now you can see this candle is about 4 fingers width in length, and it comes out on the same fold that the cherry is. All right, so it's gonna be about right here. And you're just gonna wanna put a bit of an angled straight line. All right. All right, so we've got this little line kind of coming off to the side there. Once we add the outlines to that and the highlights, it'll look a lot more like a candle. Right now we're just kind of getting that base down. So we're going to go ahead and start doing some of our black lines here. We've got all the base colors down, which is really exciting. And we want to start probably the place that we had done first, because that would be the most dry. Now, whenever you're doing any sort of illustration, like any sort of black lines or anything like that, again, I always recommend getting that paint to almost like an inky consistency, but it's very, very important that you stir it up really, really good. You don't want any of that water to be hiding in the base of the brush, because you don't want drips to happen. So pick up some water and just stir it in really good so it loosens up that black paint. You can go ahead and kind of tilt your plate to see if it starts dripping a lot. And if it is dripping when you're tilting your plate just a bit, then you know that you've added a bit too much water to that black. So you don't want it to drip, but you do want it to be nice and loose, so that way you can get nice long lines. One thing to keep in mind, especially if you have a tapered brush like the one I have here, is the harder that you press with that brush, the thicker the line's going to be. So with this next step, we want to just barely graze the canvas, and that'll make sure that our lines are nice and thin. And then by adding water to that paint, it helps the paint to stick to the canvas with less pressure. So that's what we're going for, right? We want to get a nice thin line here. So I'm going to start by just outlining the lower portion of our cupcake here, the actual cake part. So I'm going to start it here, and I'm just going to outline, oops, stuck there, actually right here. I'm going to outline the lower portion of this cupcake. Right here. All right, so then now I've traced out my cupcake. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more paint. And this part really, kind of moving forward, is mostly just, outlining. So we're just going to be doing a lot of outlining before we add our highlights. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and trace the outer edges of our cupcake base. All right, so I'm just going to. And the cool thing about this style of painting is it doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of just do, if you want to even do like broken lines for this, you can. I believe this one has a lot of broken lines. If you look closely, you can see that the folds and all of that, they're very just kind of sporadic and a bit broken, and they're not perfect. And that's kind of the style of this painting. It's supposed to kind of look like messy and quick. So don't worry about having these perfect lines everywhere. You can have broken lines as long as it just looks like it has a nice outline. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this part here. And you can see I'm kind of lifting my brush and reapplying to get that kind of broken look. And go ahead and do that down here too. All right. Now for the top of the paper that holds the cake, we're just going to be doing a kind of like a dip in. I'll show you guys what I mean. So we're basically going to just be doing like this, kind of like, almost look like ocean waves. All right. We're going to do that on a much smaller scale all across here. So underneath the cake and above, or the very kind of upper area of our paper. We're just going to make this kind of ocean line here, just like that. Okay, and then to make it look so it's not so stark, we're going to actually bring some lines into the cupcake. So you can kind of focus on where the down parts are if you want to kind of make it look more realistic. But don't worry too much. I'm actually just going to kind of go crazy with it, add some lines here and there. Give it a little bit of dimension and depth. Again, it just can be real messy. I'll just help bring these lines in a little bit. I'll show you guys this one too. So this one's really messy lines. Just kind of all over the place there. A couple of these you can see kind of where the curve goes down. And this has a line that goes straight down from there. That helps it to really look a bit more realistic if you kind of focus on when those lower areas are on a couple of them. But you don't have to do it for all of them to get that look. All right, so the next thing we're going to outline is our frosting. Okay, so just again picking up some black paint and doing really broken lines here. We can go ahead and just start outlining this cupcake. Now remember, we got a fold that kind of happened right here. So I'm going to kind of start to define that fold just a little bit when I'm doing this part. Now make sure when you're outlining that you don't go over your candle or your cherry. So I'm just going to kind of leave that guy here for a minute. We'll outline him in just a second. All right, outline that point. And then this one doesn't have very broken lines for the folds, but this one here does, and I actually really like the broken lines. So if you want to have straight across lines, you totally can, but if you can see this one here, it kind of starts, it has a little bit of a gap, it's just very quick, so don't worry about having really defined lines for the folds. And we're just going to go ahead and bring that in. It's kind of messy. Ooh. That right there. Here. This one didn't go deep down as much as I would have liked, but it's okay. Remember not to get over that cherry. Leave that cherry there. All right, so now we have our folds. We can go ahead and outline the cherry. And I'm just waiting for the candle to outline last because it was the last thing that we painted the base on. So that gives it the optimal time to actually let that sit and dry. All right, so we're going to go and outline this cherry. Okay. So outline here. This one's kind of blend that out with my finger a bit. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and add a stem to our cherry. So I'm going to give that guy a little bit more time to dry. All right. Fix this outline here. All right, so for the cherry, first we're going to just do kind of a very small curved line to mark the base of where the stem is. I'm going to do this with black. So if we see here, let's see if you guys can see the cherry close up. All right, so you see how it's just kind of like a little curved line. It's off, it's like off center. a little bit to the left. We're just going to do a little like curved line right here. Just like that. All right. And then from there, we're just going to do a quick line. So you want it to look really natural, so just go for it. Remember, the harder you press, the thicker the line is going to be. So if you want the base to be a little bit thicker than the end, you can kind of press hard and then start to lift your brush away from the canvas as you get to the edge of the stem there. All right, so we're going to press hard in the base here. All right, and then we're just going to lift that brush up so that we got kind of a nice little stem happening there. Okay. All right, you guys remember if you have any questions or anything like that, or if I'm going a little too fast, just let me know. But I did put the rewind option on here, so I believe you can rewind it. I think it might have to load first, but that just in case you guys need to go back through. I know there's a lot of steps to this particular painting. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and outline my candle. Okay, I'm going to put a little line on the top right here. Oops. Supposed to be black, but I picked up a little red on this one. And this is going to mark, you guys can see, that's going to mark where the flames are going to come out. So that's the base of our wick. All right, we're going to let that set for a minute because we don't want that flame to pick up any of the black paint. All right, so in the meantime, while we let that set, the fun part, I recommend you can use any brushes you have, but for this next step, we're going to actually use the back of the brush. I'm going to use my medium one. I want my sprinkles to be about medium size. All right, and I'm actually going to use this part of the brush, so the hard edge. All right, I'm just going to start picking up some colors. I'm going to start with some yellow sprinkles. See, I got a little bit of paint right there on the back of my canvas, or back of my brush. And I'm just going to start dotting them all over the pink areas of this cupcake. You can do all kinds of colors here. If you want to do colors that we don't have, you can do orange by mixing red and yellow. You can make purple by mixing blue and red. You can make green, as we saw earlier, by mixing the blue and the yellow together. All right, I'm just dotting all over the place. So just have fun with this part. You can even do little dots, a couple dots on the ground, like maybe some of the sprinkles fell off. I kind of put them off to the left. A couple little dots here and there. I'm going to pick up the red. Some red sprinkles. I'm going to add some sprinkles down here. One more. All right. I'm just going to add a couple of white sprinkles because I think the white looks cool. Kind of helps it to really, really stand out. You guys can see it a little bit better. I'll do a couple of white sprinkles up here. All right, got some more white sprinkles. I'm gonna do some blue sprinkles. Just have fun with it. And go wild. All kinds of colored sprinkles on your cupcake. I've seen some people do like the straight kind of sprinkles too, the ones that are kind of like a cylinder. So you can do some straight lines on there too if you wanted that kind of sprinkle. Maybe your cupcake has no sprinkles, and that's okay too. All righty, got all kinds of sprinkles on there now. You guys can see here. Some sprinkles, and I got some down there, like they fell. This is a little bit tricky. Okay, that's fun. Awesome. So now we got our sprinkles, and we can start moving on to our highlights. Well, actually, we're gonna wait just a minute because we want those sprinkles to set a bit. Let's do our flame. I think this is good. Yeah, we're gonna work on our flame. All right, so we're gonna use our small brush for this. Let me show you guys a really cool little trick on making fire. We're just gonna do a couple layered colors here. It's gonna look really cool. So the first color that we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a dot of red right here. It's just a little dot of red. I'm gonna bring this as close as I possibly can so you guys can really see this detail. All right, so I just got that dot of red. And then from there, I'm gonna pull up from the red. And then I'm just gonna kind of lift my brush away from the canvas. Do it again. So that red kind of gets pulled up a bit into that flame. But not so much. We just want a little bit of it to kind of come peeking through. Okay. All right. And usually the flame would go straight up. Mine's kind of at an angle because it's kind of coming in at an angle. But you want to try to get that flame straight up. Let's see if we can fix it from here. A little bit more of a straight up flame. All right, and then the last step that we're going to do on that flame is we're just going to pick up some white paint, some pure white paint. All right, and I'm just going to do a line right over the top of both this yellow and red. I'm just going to bring it all the way up. So now I have like a flame that looks like it's real and it's flickering. Okay, I'm going to kind of fix this a little bit. It's coming in at an angle, so it's a little bit hard. I'm going to bring that point in a little bit better. Okay, it's got lots of life. All right, and before we do those highlights, let's go ahead and write our words down here. Now you guys can write whatever you want. You can write life is sweet. You can write happy birthday. You can write I love you. Whatever you can come up with. Sky's the limit. I'm just picking up my small brush and some white paint. All right, and I'm doing the same thing that I did with the black when I was doing the illustration part of it. So I just adding a bit of water to that white paint. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and write whatever that, whatever phrase that you want down there. Let's see. What's coming up? We got Easter coming up. We got Mother's Day coming up. I could do like a Happy Mother's Day painting. That could be cool. Be a little bit early, but it could be cool. Let's do it. Let's do it. Happy Mother's Day. Or actually, we got the candle. I'm going to do another birthday one. I think that's the best. So I'm just going to go ahead and write it down here. You can use your own handwriting for this. I gotta add a lot more water to my paint so I can get a little bit more of a rhythm going there. All right, so remember the harder you press, the thicker the line's gonna be. So you really want to work hard on trying to get that line nice and thin. Like I just did just now. All right, so yeah, happy. Birthday. Oh, my handwriting's not coming out great today. Sorry though. Okay. think the trick is really just to not think about it too much. Just go for it. I'm running out of space here. Ooh, not my best writing here. I started way over to the side. Let's see if it'll let me erase it. I'm not sure. Do a little test here. Not much. I'm going to try to erase it. That's pretty bad handwriting. Actually, I have such bad handwriting, I don't usually sign my canvases because I'm always afraid that the handwriting is going to destroy the whole thing. So I'm actually removing this whole area down here. So if you guys don't like your writing at first, as long as you water down that white nice enough, you can just pick that color right up like I'm doing here. All right. So, yeah. So I can avoid subjecting you guys to my horrible handwriting again. I'm just going to leave that blank. Let you guys decide to write whatever you want there. I'll have to think of something clever and kind of add it back down there later. Kind of failed with that text there. For me, when I'm drawing letters, I really have to be positioned like with that canvas like flat in front of me. It's kind of hard to get it in that angle right now. When I was erasing, I lost a little bit of color right here. I'm gonna gotta bring that in. So if you guys messed up your writing, here's a little tip on how to fix it. You can just wipe it away. If some of that didn't go away very well, just kind of add some blue back in there. Remember, our background is really messy, so kind of works in our favor here. I'm gonna bring that sprinkle into it so it blends well. All righty. So let's pretend it says happy birthday and really great handwriting down here. Probably have my husband come in and paint, and he's got a really nice handwriting. And so we can go ahead and do our highlights. This is our last step, which is awesome. I'm not going to get back to that writing maybe at the end of the video, just so it's finished. I'm going to get my smallest brush. All right, I'm going to pick up some white paint. All right, and I'm just going to draw some diagonal lines all up this candle. All right, so I'm just doing. All right, some diagonal lines there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add some highlights onto the paper down here by just drawing some lines right over the top here. Okay. You can add some highlights on here if you want. I'm just going to add some like really sparse highlights. You can go right through your sprinkles if they're dry. Doing right in the middle there, a little highlight. You can kind of have it follow that curve a little bit if you want to make it look a little more realistic. All right. And we got a little highlight on the tip here too. I think it's reflecting off that candle. Again, kind of right through the center. Just picks up the sprinkles a little bit. Don't worry about that. You can just blend those sprinkles. Go right over the top of those sprinkles. I'm just kind of following that curve here. Right through the center. Some highlights. Cherry would cast a little bit. Oops, I picked up some blue. Good. The cherry would cast a little bit of a shadow right here, so you don't want it to go all the way to the cherry. And then a final little highlight down here. Really thick sprinkles. Stick it so it doesn't stuck my hand. Just taking the white and just going right over the sprinkles. Throwing a little highlight down there. The highlight really makes a huge difference. It really makes it look three-dimensional. If you guys are watching, if you haven't done your sprinkles, you can always do the highlight before the sprinkles if you don't want to have them over the top of the sprinkles. Or if you want the sprinkles to kind of be, you can go back through and add some sprinkles over the top. But the way I think about it is if the highlight is hitting, you know what I mean, it would kind of lighten up all those areas, including the sprinkles. Pick up a little bit of blue again. And I'll leave those sprinkles on thick. I'm gonna have time to let them dry, but some of them are getting a little bit blended in, but that's okay. Oops, trace myself on there. Be careful not to put your hand on your painting like I just did. I kind of messed it all up just now. It's okay though. Not too bad. I usually use like a pinky to brace myself. When I draw, I tend to use this part of my hand, and I wasn't paying attention. I got a little bit of that paint picked up on my wrist there, so I'm just going back through and kind of fixing that area. So you can kind of ignore this step here. That's just my oversight. Got my handprint on there. All right, so the very last step would be to sign your canvas. You can sign it wherever you want. A lot of people sign it in the lower right corner. That's kind of where I think people look for signatures. But you don't have to. You can be creative. You can have your signature like hiding in your cupcake somewhere, or again, I have terrible handwriting, so I tend to do mine on the outer edges of the canvas just because I don't want to mess up the whole piece. So it's really up to you. Hopefully, you guys followed along and had a lot of fun. I know it was a very instructional video. There's a lot of steps into it because we've got some illustration going on. But this is also a painting that you could do as a drawing because of the illustration aspect to it. So have fun with the writing down here, write whatever you want. I'm gonna think about mine a little bit longer. I already have a Life is Sweet one, a happy birthday one. So I might want to mix it up. I'm just going to try to think of something creative later and add it in there. Once I get it done, I'll post it too, so you guys can see kind of how it ended up here. But this painting is really unique because we're painting on the back of the canvas today. If you guys didn't catch our other videos, I showed you guys how to, or I made a video about making the back of the canvas look like a wood grain frame. Remember, this is kind of actually on the back of the painting that we did earlier this week, so it's two-sided. It's a little bit harder to hang because usually you would hang it on this part, but I would recommend just putting 2 push pins on the bottom and then 2 on the top, and that'll keep it in place. And then the other thing that we did to this particular painting is we created a primer. So the video right before this one, we made a primer with some baby powder, glue, and some white paint and just a touch of water. You can use a plaster, you can use cornstarch for that base, but the main things that you need is a binder, which is going to be that glue, your base, which is the powder that you choose, and a pigment, which is that acrylic paint that we added in there. So please, if you guys have any questions, ask away. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys logging in, and sorry that last week didn't work as scheduled, but we're going to try to log in every day this week to kind of keep you guys busy. And please, if you guys did follow along today, I would love to see your guys' paintings. It's so exciting to see what you guys come up with, and just to see that you guys are out there painting with me. It's very fun. So tomorrow Ryan's going to be joining us again, and he's going to be painting this painting here. So we're going to be doing the jar. And that's a pretty easy painting. I'd say this is kind of a more beginner style painting. This one is probably not advanced, but right there in the middle, I would say. This one, definitely all ages. The jar, you're just going to kind of trace out your hand to get that shape. That's pretty much the most difficult part of this painting. So join us tomorrow. We'll join Ryan. He's going to take you guys through how to paint our jar painting here. And again, really, really appreciate you guys logging in with us and painting with us. We're going to try to do something with Francesca's. It's kind of trying to figure out the logistics of it all, but we would like to do this painting as a class pretty soon. But what we're going to do is going to set up an Eventbrite where you can purchase a ticket, and we're going to drop off all the paint kits and paint and the canvases and everything that you guys need at Francesca's, and it will come with a food item that you can pick up as well. So if you guys are here in Patterson with us and you guys want some, you know, need to keep busy and you want to paint with us, look out for that Eventbrite. It'll be a fun, different kind of class, and hopefully I can keep you guys busy. So stay safe out there. Just enjoy this time. I know it's a little bit crazy and a little bit scary with everything going on, but you know, just try to appreciate the time that you guys all have with your families and the people that you love. It's a very unique situation. And just stay safe, you guys. Wash your hands, lots and lots and lots. You know, and just keep that social distancing if you can. But you guys all have a wonderful day. And again, I really appreciate you logging in. We'll see you soon.